Christmas, snow maybe, bright lights definitely, carols filling the air, but what if you stripped all that away? What if you went looking for Christmas in a place where it wasn't the main event? I wanted something different, away from the noise, the endless shopping, the pressure of a perfect holiday, so I packed a bag, destination. A country where the call to prayer was more common than jingle bells, a place where December 25th was, well, just another day for many. The idea seemed strange to some. Christmas there? Why? They'd ask. But the familiar can become a cage. I craved a different perspective. It wasn't about rejecting Christmas, it was about finding its essence, perhaps. Or maybe just finding a good story. A new taste, a different light. The pull of the unknown was strong. It felt like a necessary journey. So I booked a ticket. This was Christmas on my own terms. The plane touched down, not on a snowy runway, but on tarmac shimmering in warm air. The doors opened. A wave of heat, tinged with unfamiliar spices, washed over me. This wasn't the crisp, pine-scented air of December I knew. This was something else entirely, something ancient, something alive. My lungs filled with it. My senses woke up. The usual Christmas carols in the airport were absent, replaced by a language I didn't understand. But the energy was there. The energy of a place with its own stories, its own pulse. Stepping out of the airport was like stepping onto a different planet. The light was brighter, sharper. The colors of the buildings, the clothes people wore were vibrant, earthy tones, deep blues. The sounds were a symphony of the new. Car horns with a different cadence, voices calling out in animated conversation, the distant echo of a prayer call. It was a lot to take in, but it wasn't overwhelming. Days began to unfold. I walked the streets, explored the alleyways, listened, watched. I wasn't actively hunting for Christmas, not in the obvious sense, but I was curious. Would I see any signs, any nods to this Western tradition in a predominantly Muslim land? At first, nothing. Life flowed, shops sold their wares, people drank tea in small cafes. The daily calls to prayer marked the passage of time. It was all beautifully normal, and in its normality it was extraordinary to me. This was life, unadorned by tinsel. Then small things started to appear. In the larger hotels, catering to international business folk and tourists, a plastic tree might stand in a corner. A little forlorn, perhaps, out of place, but there. A concession, a gesture. Sometimes in a shop window selling Western goods, a string of lights or a season's greetings sign, slightly dusty. These weren't grand declarations. They were whispers. Subtle acknowledgements that somewhere else a big celebration was happening. It made me smile. The souks, the markets, this is where the heart of the city beat loudest. No Christmas carols here, no frantic shoppers hunting for last-minute gifts wrapped in shiny paper. Instead, a different kind of energy, a vibrant chaos. The air thick with the scent of spices, cardamom, cumin, saffron, the calls of vendors, the haggling, the laughter. This was a daily ritual, a timeless dance of commerce and community. It was intoxicating. It made the mall back home feel sterile, lifeless. I wandered through the narrow lanes, mountains of dates, gleaming copper pots, intricate textiles, colorful ceramics. This wasn't about buying things I didn't need. It was about soaking it all in. The craftsmanship, the history, the sheer abundance of life. People were buying essentials. Away from the tourist trails, life unfolded with a quiet dignity. I'd sit in small local coffee shops, the coffee strong, cardamom-infused, sweet. Men would gather, talking, playing backgammon, the clatter of the pieces a gentle rhythm. They'd nod at me, sometimes a smile, an unspoken welcome. There was no need for grand gestures, just a simple acceptance of a stranger in their midst. It was a lesson in grace, a lesson in how community can exist without fanfare, without forced politeness. Children played in the streets, their laughter echoing, their games universal. They'd sometimes stare, curious, not with suspicion, but with the open wonder of youth. A quick wave from me would often bring a shy smile or a chorus of hellos. These small moments, they built a bridge, a connection that went beyond language, beyond culture. It was a reminder of our shared humanity, of the simple things that bind us, a smile, a wave, a moment of curiosity. These were the threads weaving a different kind of holiday fabric. The call to prayer would sound 5 times a day, a beautiful, haunting melody that drifted over the city. For a few moments, the rhythm of life would pause, a collective breath. It wasn't my faith, but I found it deeply moving. There was a sense of devotion, of something larger than oneself. It made the world feel both vast and intimate. It was a constant reminder that I was in a place with deep spiritual roots, a place where faith was woven into the very fabric of daily existence. It commanded respect and offered a strange comfort. Evenings were for family, or so it seemed. Homes would light up, the smell of cooking would drift into the streets. There was a sense of togetherness, of shared meals, shared lives. I was an outsider looking in, of course, but there was no feeling of exclusion, just an observation of a life well lived, a life with its own priorities, its own joys. It made me reflect on my own life, my own priorities. This journey was becoming more than just a trip, it was becoming an internal audit, a quiet contemplation. The kindness of strangers, hospitality in the desert heat. One thing stood out above all else, the hospitality. It wasn't just polite service, it was a genuine warmth, a desire to share, to welcome. I got lost once, wandering down a maze of unnamed alleyways. My map was useless. A shopkeeper saw my confusion. He left his store, walked me several blocks and pointed me in the right direction. He asked for nothing in return, just a smile and a welcome to our country. This wasn't an isolated incident. It happened again and again. Small acts of kindness, big impacts. I was invited for tea countless times by people I'd only just met, in shops, in homes, even on a dusty roadside by a man selling dates. They wanted to share what they had, to talk, to learn about me, and to tell me about themselves, their families, their lives, their hopes. There was an openness, a generosity of spirit that was humbling. It made me think about how we treat strangers back home, about the walls we build. Here, walls seemed to dissolve with a simple greeting, a shared cup of tea. Food was a big part of this hospitality. Finding Christmas spirit and internal celebration. Christmas Day arrived, the sun rose just like any other day. The city stirred to its usual rhythms, the calls to prayer, the bustle of the markets. For most people here, December 25th was just a Tuesday or a Wednesday. It held no special significance. There were no presents under a tree for me, no family gathering, no festive meal planned. And yet I didn't feel sad, I didn't feel deprived. I felt peaceful, content. It was a different kind of Christmas, an internal one. I found a quiet spot, a small park, watched the world go by. I thought about my family back home, sent them messages, hoped they were having a good day, but there was no longing to be there, not in a painful way. I was exactly where I needed to be, experiencing something unique, something memorable. My Christmas celebration was this. Shared moments, humanity beyond the manger scenes. The differences were obvious. Mosques instead of churches, different holy days, different customs, but the more I looked, the more I saw similarities. The importance of family, the respect for elders, the bonds of community, the desire for peace. These are universal values. They belong to no single culture, no single religion. They are the bedrock of our shared humanity. And seeing them play out in a different context was enlightening. It stripped away the superficial. It got to the core of what matters. I saw acts of charity, people helping those less fortunate. Quietly, without fanfare, I saw devotion, a deep faith that guided daily life. I saw joy in simple things, a shared meal, a good conversation, a child's laughter. These are the things that make life meaningful, anywhere in the world. It didn't matter that the framework was different. A December to remember, more than just a holiday. Leaving was bittersweet. I had found something special in this place, something unexpected, a Christmas stripped bare, reduced to its essence. And in that simplicity, I found a profound beauty, a warmth that had little to do with festive lights or presents, and everything to do with human connection, with kindness, with shared moments. This wasn't just a trip, it was an education, a recalibration of what a holiday, what life can be about. It changed me in small, quiet ways. The memories I carry are not of grand sights, though there were many. They are of faces, smiles, shared cups of tea, the taste of new foods, the sound of a different language, the feeling of being welcomed, of being seen not as a tourist but as a person. These are the souvenirs that matter, the ones that don't fade, the ones that become a part of who you are.